The Final Four is set. It is set. UConn against Alabama, Purdue versus NC State. I mean, I don't know that I've seen anything more impressive than that 30-0 run that UConn put on Illinois the other day. That was insane. Game was tied. It was tied late in the first half. You're thinking, okay, this is going to be a pretty good ball game. UConn takes a lead. They're up by 5 at the half, and you're thinking, all right, half is coming. Some adjustments are going to be made. Let's see what Illinois can do. And boom. I mean, they didn't score a point, I think was the first 8.5 minutes of the second half. Unbelievable. I mean, and just got dominated. Just got dominated. 30-0 run. Game was, and UConn kept getting layups. I don't know if anybody noticed that. They kept getting run-out layups and dunks. I'm like, Illinois, what are you doing? Are you even going to try to get back? Are you going to try to defend? Apparently, the answer to that is no. And they're just going to let UConn run up and down the court on them. That's what happened. Whew. Goodness gracious. It was a blowout. It was an absolute just demolition. And they didn't even let up. Even when the subs late in the game came in, those guys were trying to score. That's what I respect about UConn so much. They're not going to let you off that hook. And they didn't. And they showed Illinois, you're not in the same class. You're going to try to get up and down and run with us? Okay. Good luck. Whew. Man, it was ugly. It was ugly. But that's what UConn does, man. UConn has been the best team in the country all year. They are proving it right now again. An Elite Eight, you win by that many points. And the game wasn't even that close. It wasn't even that close. I mean, whew, UConn's good. Alabama, there was a lot of North Carolina fans in here on talking a whole lot of trash, and then they went quiet on Friday. They went real quiet on Friday. They were invisible. But, Alabama then goes out and wins again and gets into the Final Four. For the first time, Alabama gets to the Final Four. I was impressed. I'll give Alabama their due. I will give them their due. I didn't think they were going to be able to make it. They did. Good for them. Good for them. I was happy to see Alabama win that game. Although, if the plan for Alabama in the Final Four is to run with UConn, which I'm quite sure it is because that's what Alabama does, they're going to get their head beaten in. They are going to get their head beaten in. They got to come up with something else. Because if they're going to just try to run up and down the court and think that that's going to work against UConn, they got another thing coming. That's not going to work. So, somebody says, we haven't seen Bama run and gun like the regular season. Yeah, we have seen them. Maybe you haven't paid attention. That's what Alabama does. They run up and down the court. They don't guard anybody. They didn't guard anybody the other day either. So that's what they do. And yeah, I shouldn't say because I'm not really rooting for anybody. I'll just say this. If Alabama wants to win, they got to come up with something different. Or they got to shoot 50% from three. Now, if you're going to shoot 50% from three, then you got a shot. Then you've got a shot if you're going to get into an up and down game with UConn. You got a shot. But if you're not, it's going to get ugly for you. But I do like that matchup. I think it's going to be some good basketball. It'll be good basketball. I think UConn is 10 points better than Alabama, though. I think UConn minus 12, I like it. I'll take it. I'll tell you right now. So, this is the most defense I've seen Bama play all year. Yeah, they don't play any defense. They didn't play defense the other night. They didn't play defense the other night. Let me get this out. But yeah, they didn't play defense the other night. Clemson just went into the toilet and then stopped making shots. But yeah, they didn't play defense the other night. So it is what it is. Let's flip to the other side of the bracket. Look, Purdue beat Tennessee. We can say whatever we want about Zach Edey and how he may or may not be a good pro. I actually think he can if they get back to basketball using a big man like they should use a big man. But Zach Edey is unstoppable. He's unstoppable. Now, what can get them beat? The difference is Tennessee didn't have anybody to match up with him. They had nobody to match up with him, and it was a horrible game plan. That Tennessee should have said, you know what, every time you touch the ball, Zach Edey, we're going to double team you and make you get rid of the basketball. Because Purdue guys weren't making any shots. Purdue, they weren't making any shots. You should have just said, hey, somebody else is going to beat us. But they didn't do that. They let this man score 40 points. Well, okay. What are you doing? What are you doing? And he showed him, hey, if you're going to single cover me, I'm going to kill you. And that's exactly what Zach Edey did. He killed them. And, I guess you live and you die by what brought you there, but at some point, don't you got to make adjustments? That's what been the whole thing about Rick Barnes. Make in-game adjustments, man. Your plan isn't working. Ziti is eating you alive. Go to something else. Go to a zone. Go to a zone. Double team him. Make him pass the basketball. Never did it, and he kept eating. Never did it, and he kept eating. It was insane. It was insane. Like I said, Tennessee didn't have the guys to be able to match up with him. Not that anybody does, because they don't. But you can at least slow him down a little bit. You let the man get 40 and beat you. Especially when other guys on Purdue weren't making any shots. That's the frustrating part, is that guys weren't making any shots. And you didn't make them shoot the ball. It's just, ugh. But that's what people talk about with Rick Barnes. It's just horrible in-game adjustments. He doesn't make any. And it was bad. And they got beat for it. But hats off to Purdue. Hats off to Matt Painter. After getting beat last year by Fairleigh Dickinson in the first round, they're trying to follow that Virginia mold. Be a 1, get beat by a 16, then the next year win it all. They're trying to do it. They got an opportunity. I'm going to love that matchup with NC State and DJ Burns. Now, Burns can't guard Ziti. That's going to be the thing. What is NC State going to do? Because he can't guard him. Now, can Zach Edey guard Burns? I don't know. So we'll be able to see. We'll see. The difference is people underestimate Zach Edey is 7'4". He's not like a 6'10" guy with long arms or a 6'11" guy with long arms. He's 7'4" with long arms. I mean, y'all saw it yesterday. He cut down the net from the rim. He didn't even need a ladder. That's what we're dealing with here. So, and somebody saying Middlebrooks got him on lock. A 6'8" guy? Come on, man. Stop. Stop being silly. Stop being silly. They're going to bring double teams to Ziti. They're going to make those other guys beat him. Or they should. You can't just let Ziti get 4 because he's just proved that he can beat you. If you allow him to beat you, he will. So make him pass the basketball. So, but if you're not going to, it is what it is. I like Edey, but Lord have mercy. Just make him do something else. Tennessee never did that. I love Burns, though. I love the fact that they beat Duke. Somebody tried to tell me that John Shire was a top 5 basketball coach in college basketball. And because they were in the Elite 8, that this was proving it. I'm like, what? How the hell is John Shire a top 5 coach in college basketball? He had a great roster last year, and they sucked. They underachieved. And then they got the blessings of the tournament to get to the Elite 8, and not to mention, they beat Houston. Houston was out there first-team All-American, and he was the best player on the court The guy played 12 minutes in the game, and they still had a chance to beat you. So don't tell me this tough road that Duke had to hoe. They didn't. They beat Vermont and James Madison. Give me a break. And they beat Houston without their best player by 3. So sometimes people will just say anything. I'm like, come on, man. John Shire, I mean, we can think he's a good coach, but whew. It is what it is. It is what it is. I just, Edey, I think they're going to have to double him, make him give it up. That still might not be enough. But the one thing that I think NC State can do is I think they can put enough pressure on the guards because they got the advantage at the guard position over Purdue. But if somehow they don't guard and Purdue's guys get hot, it'll be a blowout. I think they have the advantage, but we'll see. We will see. So I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting matchup. But we got Edey and Burns, Middlebrook, Derrera. Don't y'all want to call Derrera diarrhea? Doesn't it look like diarrhea? I'm sure he got that as a kid all the time. And I'm a grown man sitting here making fun of another grown man's name, so that makes me a chump. I get it. But sometimes we got to be chumps. So sometimes we got to be chumps. So I deal with it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to both matchups. I think they're both going to be good games, and that's both those styles. But if I had to pick right now, I would pick Purdue and UConn to meet for the title next Monday night. That's what I would do. If I had to pick, I would pick UConn and I would pick Purdue. So we'll see as the week goes on. We'll see as the week goes on, and we'll see what happens. So going for the underdog, says my man Bill Myers. There's nothing wrong with going for underdogs. I just don't think Alabama is going to guard enough because they don't guard anybody anyway. And, I mean, if they don't watch out, UConn will score 100 on them. That's the thing. UConn will score 100 points on Alabama if they don't watch themselves. And Alabama's not going to score 100 on UConn. So that may be the difference. That might be the difference. So, but we'll see. I want to see the game because I think it's going to be an up and down game. But I think UConn actually plays defense where I know Alabama does not.